Hello everyone and welcome once again to another program of Primetime, and I'm your host Beverly. Today we have a former Minister of Education. She is presently the party leader of the National Alliance, and we thought it would be a great idea to invite her in so we can catch up as to what's happening lately and how she's enjoying being a parliamentarian. So stick around and we'll be right back, for this is Primetime.
This is Rupert Brown, better known in the community as Major Brown. Because of my service in the police, I've been with NAGICO for the past 30-something years. I think it's around 35. And I've always been satisfied with the service I got with them. They have helped many people in this island. As long as I have to keep on insuring them with any company, I will choose NAGICO.
Every time I go to NAGICO, I get the best service that I needed.
I think it took a little longer to be paid out, but I could understand. They had to bring in the people out from outside. The damage was so great that they needed people from outside to make the assessments, and that took a little longer. But in the end, I was satisfied that I had people in NAGICO who you consider friends, and that's why I've remained with NAGICO all these years, because of the friendliness of the people in there.
Choose strength. Choose reliability. Choose NAGICO Insurances.
As I mentioned in my opening, today we have in studio with us MP Silveria Jacobs. The last time she was here, she was the Minister of Education, along with all the other portfolios, and we said, let's just play some catch-up today. So thank you very much for joining us on the program.
Thank you so much for having me, Beverly. Good evening to your viewers. And it's always a pleasure to be back here in the seats with you.
Yes. And you all, that is, I can say that, of all the years, we can call you a week before, an hour before, and you always say yes. Because we will say, oh my God, we need, then my friend said, let's call Silveria and get a heads up as to what's happening. I said, but yeah, he said, call her, see if she will say yes. And she did, and so here you are, party leader of the National Alliance. How's that going?
Well, it's a challenge, of course. It's a new function for me. One I took on a little reluctantly, but I'm getting the good support that I need to, I think, not rejuvenate, but give the party a boost of energy. I think people had their views of what was going on and what didn't go on, and I think all of that has been put to rest now, and it wasn't an ousting, definitely, of the former party leader. There's enough respect for him and all that he still brings to the party, and he's still with us in Parliament as well, and a very key figure in Parliament. We still have our 5 seats, and we're working with it. We're trying to grow the party still, so you will be hearing a little more about what the party is doing in the coming months. Of course, everybody being back in their lives, it's a little more difficult. The urgency of an election gets everyone more motivated to work, etc. And even, in talking to the district leaders and stuff, we want to meet with them and do things. They're like, oh, not right now. Not right now, and everybody's a little laid back. But we don't want to wait until an election to be active. So we'll be doing a couple of fundraisers, a couple of community things.
Yes.
I've been encouraging the general population, but also, of course, my membership to volunteer. So to be there for the people, regardless to whether we have won an election or not.
Whether you're in government
because whether you're in government or not, because change happens in the smallest corners. And one person can affect change, and whether you're in leadership or not, I always felt very valuable to my community when I was a teacher. And I was a volunteer in various organizations, and that actually helped to propel me. So I'm telling them, as budding politicians, as people who want to represent the people, you have to be with the people all the time. Nice. It has to be who you are. And so as a party, you will be definitely, you'll be seeing us out there individually in our various other organizations even, because you don't want to politicize everything
in your life,
singly, but it is good for the population to see that you have not fallen asleep. I have several members who are in service clubs. I have several members who, take part in volunteering in different areas. MP Artwell Aaron is so busy with his group of young people. They're doing wonderful, wonderful things with environment, with the green box.
Yeah.
We have Jorendi out there keeping himself in touch with the people. So a lot of people feel like you're not in government, you're not in touch with the people. Nothing at all goes so. Nothing at all goes so. Plus we have time also to see the public at Parliament as well.
Exactly.
So we're trying to keep an open profile.
So how's it going as a woman, as a party leader? You know, you've always had the men in charge of leadership. Now you have a woman, and how's that?
I think every person in leadership has challenges. Women in leadership, yes, but women in leadership always have a little extra.
That takes getting used
We
to.
have a little extra, you know. Not all men are too comfortable being led by a woman. They might want the female leader to do more things or do things their way.
Yeah.
And what I do pride myself on is that I listen. I do take their opinions into consideration before making decisions. But I expect them, and so far they have respected my decision.
Yeah.
So
Great.
so far.
So let's see. How are you enjoying being an MP in government? Again, yes.
Listen, I tell people all the time, when you don't get an opportunity to form part of the government, yes, there's that initial disappointment, but I believe everything happens for a reason. I believe that the Parliament of St. Martin is actually the highest the highest body. We hold government accountable. We appoint government. So whether you are part of the ones who approved who's there or not, you are the Parliament together, all 15. So the majority vote carries the vote of Parliament. And so if there is something that you can contribute or highlight to make sure that it goes properly, that is your role. You can initiate laws, and I had started one, and I'm proud to say that so far it's scheduled for late November the 20th. I'm not sure.
Third. Up to speed. Which one that was?
Yes, the one. Oh yes, the law, the amendment law that I brought to bring up the legal drinking age.
Okay.
So that the law
looking?
The law changed, but the punishments or the penalties for those selling too didn't change. So the permit ordinance had to change as well, which falls in the TIAT. And so I initiated that back in 2015, and I came back in April, picked it back up, did what had to be done with it, and so it's going to a public meeting to be voted on, the 23rd. I'm not sure. I think it's the 23rd of November, so I'm looking forward to, one of the few laws that were initiated from Parliament. But people who sit at home and say, "Oh, but you're not doing anything."
Right,
laws come to us all the time, and we have several pending laws that have to be approved or finalized. So we have been looking as a party too at which laws we can pick up that had been just like mine,
right?
Kind of left to flounder somewhere in the pipeline and speed it up. And we're hoping to be able to make the rest of 2018, 2019 all about that, while keeping the government accountable to us for everything that they're doing. And having come from there, I know what we were busy with, so I'm a little bit
we talk about that in the next segment.
In the next segment.
If you feel things are a little stagnant, we'll talk a little bit about that. And is it a misconception that people feel that being a parliamentarian, you have a big salary and not much work, not many laws being put out on the floor? So let's see how we can clear up some of those misconceptions.
And that's why I so readily jumped to the opportunity to come on these programs to enlighten people, because there is so much work to do at Parliament. There is so much, like I said, there are many laws pending. Even the existing laws that are there need to be revised.
Yeah, we take a break.
Okay.
And then when we come back, we will continue on that vein. Stick around and we'll be back in a moment. This is Prime Time.
Hey ma, how you doing? You busy?
I hear, just paying some bills, taking care of business, you know what it is?
I know, you're doing your online banking.
I don't have to stand in those long lines to pay bills. I can transfer when I want I can check my account wherever. It's like the bank open 24/7. I even here checking the statement right now as we're talking. How's Miami?
Well, that's why I'm calling. I'm finishing up a few songs now, but I'm afraid that studio time might be more than I thought. And I was wondering if I could get some help with some funds, and I could pay you back as soon as I get back to St. Martin.
Let me check my account. How much you need?
I think 500 should be enough.
I can transfer it to you while online. Direct from me to you. No problem.
Great. Thank you so much, Ma. I'll get online with Viv now.
Alright, darling. You know who you're for?
I need to know who you're for.
Contact Wib today for your complete personal online banking experience. Available for all mobile devices. The Wynwood Islands Bank, now your online banking partner in progress.
A cruise is a great adventure. Not only for passengers, also for us. The Port of St. Martin. Our port always reflected the needs and aspirations of the time. From the first to the 1.75 millionth passenger in 2013. Our cruise story started in 1963 with our first cruise passenger. 50 great years later, 20 million passengers later, thousands of cruise berths later, we've become the leading port in the Caribbean. 50 fantastic years. Like a dream. The dream of Port St. Martin lives on and reinvents itself every day. The best is yet to come.
At Travel Planners, we love what we do. Every day we help our clients plan their vacations, from honeymoons to family reunions, trade shows to conventions, school trips to sports tournaments. Our agents at Travel Planners can help you make better, wiser decisions on travel destinations and cruises and find you the lowest fares. Make some memories with help from Travel Planners in Phillipsburg and on the Airport Road, Simpson Bay. Visit our website at Planners SXM and like us on Facebook at St. Martin Travel Planners. We take care of all your travel needs.
Welcome back and thank you very much for joining us. This is Prime Time. I'm speaking to MP Silveria Jacobs, and she's also the leader of the National Alliance Party. Let's clarify and clear up some of those misconceptions that a parliamentarian makes a lot of money and has less work.
Yeah, there's a lot of responsibility. Again, you have to keep government basically in line, make sure that the policies that have been put forward are being carried out. You have many organizations, the institutions, the SER, the Council of Advice, you have the General Audit Chamber, you have all these others to get advice from and assist you in all those reports that you have to read. For instance, the other day, a new group was brought forward for waste to energy. The information that they provided, you have to go and read all of that. When a law has to be changed or when the budget comes, you have to go and read the document, read the policy document. You have to check the numbers. You get advice from the advisors within your faction. You can get advice from, as I said, any of the other institutions. They also provide documentation with the law that has to be read, reviewed, discussed, and then we decide how we're going to move forward with it. So there's a lot to do, just like on the government side. But it might appear that way because you have only set amount of meetings that are publicized. But besides those publicized meetings, that is just the show after all the work has been done. You have to do a lot of preparation work way before you reach. And some of the challenges we've been having is that you don't get information on time. So then you're basically cramming just before a meeting because the information is just delivered the same day or the day before. But there is information that's coming into Parliament on a daily basis. You just don't know when the meeting will come. So to focus your time, you of course focused on whatever your priority is. So as a party, we have looked at things that we want to focus on, and you will see some of our MPs, they have their social media pages going and the National Alliance page going with updating on what they're doing, what we are doing individually, but also as things happen. And for instance, we've put in several meeting requests which have not been honored as yet. So you're busy preparing for all those separate meetings in terms of what angle you're going to take, what laws you need to use to back up your statements, etc., etc. So it's quite a lot, and I actually like that part of it because it's still reminiscent of the other side.
Yes.
On the other side, you're actually carrying it out. And so it's more hands-on, it's more time-bound, it's more, you can get called to Parliament at any time in the midst of what you're doing. So it's a lot more of an adrenaline rush being on the ministerial side, on the execution side of government, but it is no less important being on the Parliament side. And I think what we are trying to do is continue to raise the level, because we've heard the complaints, and I think people complain because they felt nothing was being done. But I think if people follow the meetings lately, they will see that there is more coming out of the members of Parliament since we are there. There are quite a few millennials. You can say what you want about them, but they do have information at their fingertips and they are ready to go.
They're good with the World Wide Web. They're really good at that.
Yes.
What do you think they're saying that since 10, there's just a few laws that have been passed and we are in 2018?
That statement is made very much without understanding the trajectory and the dynamics of it. Maybe I may have said it as well without knowing what it was about. But once you are in the system and you see, and I saw that from when I was a minister, even as a minister, needing a law urgently or a policy, you have to go through all these steps. And as with the study financing law, which was passed the other day and which started and was able to move forward primarily because of all the hard work that we did when I was minister. Of course, with the help of the ministry put it forward. I saw the priority along with them, and we did everything we could, and it still took so long. And me going back and forth as minister met it at different stages. So other ministers did their thing as well. But at a certain moment, it kept going back to legal affairs and getting negative advice, going back to legal advice for advice and coming back again. And so year in, year out, they're giving you negative advice. At a certain moment, I said, you know what? I'm not sending it back to legal affairs. I'm sending it straight to the Council of Advice. They questioned it. We explained why they still decided to look at it despite us not going back to legal affairs again, because they could have decided, nope, let it go back to legal affairs again. And it would have taken longer. But because they saw the need for this law as well, they went through it, they gave their advice, it went back to government, government sent it back. Now when I'm on this side, so I sent it to the Council of Advice, and then I got it back, and I was able to fully support it, and we had a full 15-member, I think whoever was there at the time, supported it, and now it had to go back to government to be enacted, signed, and I'm hoping by now that the government and everybody else signed. It's a long trajectory, whether it comes from government or whether it comes from us. And we have no legal affairs.
Right. And listen, right now, the educational system is going through a rough time. I know we started out the school year with a chronic shortage of teachers. And what's happening in that area?
Yeah, those are some of the same questions I asked the education minister, and I'm very alarmed at what I'm hearing from the ground floor. I still have my ears to the ground. As you well know, my contacts have not been lost there, and the feeling from the ground, from parents, from teachers and students that things are going horribly wrong is really has my concern. As a result of that, we called the meeting an urgent meeting, which was not considered urgent and held after 10 or more days. And then the meeting continues to drag on. It will hopefully finalize on Friday, but I really don't see it finalizing, seeing it as it will start at 3 p.m. These kind of things are where I feel politics is being played within Parliament in terms of what meetings are called and what meetings aren't called. The dump is another one that's urgent that we are calling again because of the latest news that we're hearing. But getting a speedy response from government and getting the meetings scheduled as urgent has been a challenge for us in opposition. But we will continue to highlight and ask the questions and make the suggestions, and I've made several already to the minister, and he is supposed to answer to those questions. Specifically, the teacher shortage is a problem. Actually, in public schools, it was a problem before the hurricane.
Right.
It has just been exacerbated by this and now felt in other school boards as well.
Right, exactly.
We know that space is a problem, and so therefore they have double shifts at some schools, etc. But sometimes some school boards take decisions also without consulting government, and then when government has to do their part in terms of the inspection, making sure that education is taking place, that is where the government has to execute their controls. Right. So the school boards have certain leeway, but they have to report to education department, they have to report to the inspectorate. So those questions that I asked, I'm hoping to be able to get answers to as to the quality of education and what is actually happening, what exactly is this risk of burnout, in real numbers in terms of how many teachers are actually not feeling able to teach, and what are we doing about it? Because they were assessed in the beginning when I was there, but there was a trajectory of follow-ups that had to happen. I have no clue whether those follow-ups happen, and based on my word on the ground, they haven't.
We need to take a break. When we come back, how do we deal with right now Facebook and the YouTube and the sharing of all these fights in the school? That seems to be the thing of late.
It's been a thing. It just came back.
And I think it's escalating. So let's talk a little bit about that and how different is your life today. Stick around, we'll be right back in a moment. Don't forget, this program and all of our programs in the past can be seen on Facebook and YouTube. And don't forget to subscribe. Tell your friends. We'll be back in a moment. Stick around.
GEBE has been faithfully serving the communities of St. Martin, powering your home and our economy. Come rain or shine, our qualified team of professionals are working hard 24 hours a day to provide you and your family with safe, reliable electricity and water. We use the latest technologies and test our products daily to maintain the highest international standards. Our friendly staff is always there to assist you, whether in person, over the phone, or online. We are committed to constantly improving our products and services, making them more efficient, effective, and environmentally friendly to serve you better today and our next generation of clients tomorrow. GEBE, powering a brighter future.
Our friend Megawati is here with tips to save you energy. 1. Turn your airco temperature up. 2. Use a ceiling fan instead. 3. Buy energy-saving products. Save some green with NVGEBE.
The Daily Herald is my first source for up-to-date information and news. Putting together this program of prime time requires research and knowledge of current events. For local news, regional and international news, do read the Daily Herald. Yeah, before we took the break, we were talking about the fights that they think that needs to go on Facebook and YouTube.
Well, when you have, we talked a lot about the stress on teachers. We talked about the stress on fights have been happening all the time. We have the phenomenon of phones and smartphones. And so they've always been there. But now they're...
The World Wide Web is,
yes, that was already an issue. And according to me, several schools put some policies in place to deal with that. Yet they're still continuing to happen. Children are also in a higher stress level right now. So I think the university has a discussion on the 7th, and I'm hoping that the general public, I don't know when this will be aired, but in the sense of taking part in these public forums to talk, going to your schools and having these discussions, because we can continue to put more security, more police, more this, but I don't think we want our children raised in a police state. We don't want that. I believe that we have to, it's a mindset change. They have a too cool to loot program, but I'm thinking we need to definitely start an anti-violence program, start teaching aggression retraining through different ways. I definitely saw that need even back in 2013 when I brought forward the Education Care Center idea especially as we were experiencing that in the public schools, where we are plagued more with those type of violent behaviors, disruptive behaviors in class, etc., etc. And it's more than just the child. It's the family, it's the community. So we cannot look, yes, and then when they post these things on Facebook or any social media, you're only seeing a portion. You didn't see what happened before, you didn't see what happened after, and you're only getting everybody else's melee about a story. What alarms me with the last videos that I'm seeing is not the fight in and of itself. Those things happen, not that I'm condoning it. It was the glee and the joy of the viewers. It was a gentleman trying to stop it and being blocked by students. So to me, we have to talk about a mindset change. It's the same frenzy that you would see with looting. It's like, oh, something is going on and exciting and everybody's doing it and I'm going to do it too. When are we going to get back to basics in terms of morals, what's right, what's wrong? How would you like it if it was your sister? How would you like it if it was your whatever in that situation? You would want it stopped, you know, and the realities of the injuries that come from these type of fights where people are just in a frenzy and going crazy, you know, is alarming. But you cannot deal with it in one spot. You have to deal with discussions with the children. You have to deal with the parents, what's going on in the home, many social issues on the island. This is a direct response to the way we've been living for the past 20 years. This isn't something that was created this year and now that we got social media. It's just broadcast instantly.
I know, instantly. So how's life? Now, not a minister, not being on the phone 24/7 and being a parliamentarian in opposition.
I must say,
forget about the in opposition.
Yeah,
Just
being a member of parliament in general is less hectic, but I would not say, like I said in the beginning, less work. Because of the type of ministry. Some ministers have a more hectic lifestyle than others, depending on the ministry. And the ministry that I led was a very hectic one, where education, youth, and sport.
With all these functions.
And with all the functions on
it was
top.
Culture,
right.
It was sports.
On top of
it
all
was
the work.
Affairs.
So it's a lot. And we were dealing with a lot of legislative work as well. So there's a lot to read and a lot to do. So I still go to functions, not as much. But I do feel that you are working in a more relaxed atmosphere. But not when the meetings are going on.
I know.
But in general, you're in a more relaxed atmosphere, and you have to have a lot of patience, which is something I have to work on in terms of getting information, in terms of meetings seeming to take forever.
On your portfolio as a member of parliament, as a party leader of the National Alliance, and we wish you continued success.
Thank you.
Great to have you.
Thank you. Always a pleasure.
This has been Prime Time. I'll see you next week, and may God bless you.